Do you want the key or not?
We are talking about Let's Scare Julie, also known as Let's Scare Julie to Death. This one is by first-time feature director Judd Cremita, and also written by him. Now, Judd has done a variety of documentaries before and a few bits and pieces, but this is his feature film debut, and it's somewhat of an experimental horror film in a lot of ways. It's actually, its unique selling point, I suppose, is it's kind of this one-shot gimmick that you would have seen in the war movie 1917. It seems somewhat unnecessary, I have to be honest with you, in this film, and a little bit ambitious for a first-time director. But anyway, what is the story? So it focuses on this kind of group of teenage girls having an impromptu slumber party when they are telling each other scary stories, pranking each other, stuff like that. There's an urban legend about this girl who lives across the street who, you know, has something wrong with her ultimately, and obviously their imaginations go wild. And the majority of this group of girls decide that they're going to go over there and scare her. Our main character, Emma, actually doesn't go, stays at home to look after her younger sister, whilst her drunken uncle is asleep on the sofa. However, only two of the girls end up returning and they are scared. So something has happened, and what that is, you'll have to watch the movie to find out. So let's discuss. Okay, what works first of all in this movie? As I've said, the movie is ambitious. I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. I feel the director may have bitten off somewhat more than he can chew here, but nevertheless, the ambition is certainly there. And it does make for somewhat of a unique viewing experience, I have to say. I have to say a shout out to the actress who plays Emma, Leigh-Anne Johnson, who, to be honest with you, the camera is following for the majority of this film, and if it indeed it is just a one-take movie, or maybe has a few hidden sort of like cuts here and there, she does an excellent job of kind of staying in character for what is clearly at least very kind of long takes, and I feel is probably the most likeable kind of character and relatable of the group, although obviously she has by far and away the most screen time here. There are a couple of kind of creepy moments here because of the way the camera is always fixed on Emma, and because Emma is the one that did not go in the house, we as an audience, like her, don't really know what has happened, and we're having to kind of piece together the story at the same time Emma is by just kind of like fragments of information that comes to light. So that in effect obviously keeps you kind of up to speed with, you know, our kind of central protagonist, and we find out things the same time that she does, and obviously this scary stuff happens. Okay, so let's talk about what doesn't work. I have to talk about the music first of all. The music isn't bad, but I feel it's very overpowering. The music of this film, it's so like creepy music. Here comes a scare, and it's a bit like Jesus. It's like really hitting you over the head with it. I mean, it's just like, and it really like amps up to this super dramatic movie when there's really not something all of that interesting happening. I think the music is way over the top for one thing. Number two, our group of, well, there's a couple of things. Our group of kind of teenage girls. I've got to be honest with you, the first third of this movie is these teenage girls wittering away at each other. And I've got to tell you, as a middle-aged man, it's not very interesting. Maybe if you're a teenage girl, you might find their kind of like constant prattling interesting, but I did not. The movie, I don't know, these characters are not likeable characters, maybe with the exception of Emma, but she seems a little bit gullible, to be fair. But yeah, unlikable characters, just kind of like wittering away, you know, about what teenage girl stuff, and to be honest with you, you aren't really listening. At least I wasn't. And there may well be plot points within that film within that kind of like that first act of the movie that may well be important, because it's just like one long take of an incessant chatter from teenage girls. It is not particularly engrossing stuff. The movie, because it focuses on our character that did not go into the house, it really makes it like, you know, it's like watching an accident, but you only ever see the aftermath, if that makes sense. You never really see anything that happened, to be honest. So it's like a horror film where you don't actually see the film, but you just hear about it, is the best way I can describe it. Now, arguably, the design there is to create tension. Although I don't know if it fully succeeds, to be honest. Now, I can understand where the filmmaker was going. They want you to, as I've said, to find out things the same time this Emma character does. But you don't really... I've got to be honest, I feel like I was somewhat checked out of this movie. And it just seems to kind of like veer from one kind of like conclusion to the next. And, I struggle with like, how have they got to this? And I don't really get what's kind of happening here. Like I've said, I have to be honest with you, this movie was kind of like not particularly interesting. It didn't really keep me engaged, so I'll fully admit maybe I kind of missed some stuff in the dialogue here, but that's, the movie's there to keep me engrossed, and it really didn't. Certainly, when we get to that kind of like our later half of the film and the spooky stuff more starts to happen, I've maybe missed some stuff in the first half. But it just seems to kind of like jump from one kind of scene to the next, and we don't we see it happening in the end and thinking, this is kind of different to everything that we've been told so far. I don't know. To me, it was a bit of a jumbled mess. I've got to be honest with you. Saved only by, I think, ambition, although somewhat misplaced, and an extremely strong performance by our central actress here, and she, obviously really holds the film up, I've got to say. But it's not particularly interesting, and I have to be honest with you, the way it's filmed, and because you are focusing on the character that does the least amount of stuff in the film, it's not a particularly interesting film. I'm going to have to give this one a 4 out of 10, to be honest with you. I just don't think it's particularly interesting. It has some artistic merit, and I'll give it that. But for a piece of entertainment, I feel it lacks. And I feel it was misplaced for this director to maybe try and do something so, different when it's his first feature film. So I felt maybe that it should be more of a learning curve here, not just kind of jumping in feet first, because I feel like there's stuff missing in this movie. And when he's making it, I can understand, this is going to be great, blah, blah, blah. But actually watching it completely cold, as a completely, coming in out the blue, it doesn't seem very interesting, I've got to be honest. So 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.